Yes, I'm in a wood. Yes, I'm to me, man. I want to get I did a picture and so well, Afro Voice Radio listeners, we come back your way and we are ready to roll. We hope you are all doing well. Today's topic for discussion is Christian giving, and I want to let our eminent ministers once again introduce themselves. Just forgive us. We are doing that for a good reason. Right across me, we have Reverend
Ernest Ologo.
Ernest Ologo of
New Covenant United Methodist Church.
New Covenant United Church. And on my left is
Pastor Okine.
Pastor Okine. And
Dominion
Pastor
Firehouse
Okine is
Chapel.
of Dominion Firehouse Chapel International. Well, Reverend Ministers, today we're going to be talking about Christian giving. Would you agree that is a good topic to talk about in this time of the church history? Reverend Ologo.
Yeah, it's excuse me. In today's context, God is so awesome in a way that whatever issue is laid, He grants wisdom and He grants understanding, and He makes way in the life of His people so that it affects their lives. The purpose, I believe, of all this we are doing is that it will impact people's life so that they can make effective decisions and an indicative way of ministering so that people benefit.
So you think giving is something to talk about?
Very, very important.
Reverend Okine, you think giving is important to talk about in this time, or in your house there's no problem? So
that's the essence of Christianity.
Mm.
That's the core. So we cannot do anything about it. Now, God desires His children to do certain things and complain until He say, no, let Him give. So He say, for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. So giving is the core of Christianity.
All right, so today the discussion is going to be what is Christian giving? When is Christian giving? How Christians should give, and why Christians should give. So let's take it one by one. Let's begin by what exactly is Christian giving? Reverend Ologo, what is Christian giving?
Christian giving, which I will call Christian stewardship. Stewardship might be a more broader term because when you talk about giving, people's attention comes only on money. But stewardship is much broader. It doesn't only center on money. It's centered on talent. It's centered on
Can you
service.
pull your microphone closer to you a little bit? Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we don't give only money. We give ourselves, we give our services, we give our time, we give our educational development, what we have acquired personally, we use it in so many diverse ways to enhance the kingdom of God. So giving has a very erroneous implication, which we want to use this platform to diffuse that understanding. That when you say giving, it's only money, they are looking for money, and that's why they are asking us to come to church. That's not what it is. It encompasses a whole variety about man.
Well, you know, that's so important, and I want you to really spend a little time to break it down for us. Reverend Okine, what is Christian giving?
Well, just as Pastor Ologo said, giving is not only related to money. You give your time, you give your other resources apart from money. You also give your giving that God has given to you. When you minister, is a giving. So in totality, giving is giving, ministering what blessing God has given to you to edify the church. I mean, just unleashing or giving it out to glorify the church. It can be your money, it can be your time, it can be your resources, it can be your life. I mean, anything that you think I can offer. So that's Christians giving. I mean, for edification of the church of God.
So, I don't know that we are so clear, but, when people hear about giving, all their mind comes on is money, and you hear pastors saying, oh, this time the church is not giving. I have some statistics I will read down the line, So just break it down, it's money, it's time, then what and what and what,
talent.
It's talent.
Other resources. You can give
Are they in an order of importance? I mean, you as a pastor, would you say it's in an order of importance that you expect this so much and this so little?
No, as a matter of fact, if I should rank them by order of importance, money will not come first.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Very positive. Life is a gift. Life is a gift. Today, God has given the gift of life, the gift of health. The Bible says life does not consist only on abundance of wealth. There are other more important things that constitute life than money. If you don't have good health and sound mind, can you go in and make the money? So it first starts from somewhere before it siphons down.
Where is this somewhere?
Somewhere is that in the morning I wake up, and by the special grace of God, I wake up with a sound mind. I'm able to see the day. I'm able to have good health, and I'm able to go to work. So it first starts from life, having good life and a sound mind. Then I proceed to go to work, the gift of work. When I have work, I have my labor, I exert my labor, I exchange for money. When I even get the money, the ability for me to use the money appropriately so that some is left for the church.
So that some is left for the church. I believe some pastors will not be happy with you at all, saying some is left for the church. Reverend Okai, will you rank giving?
Yeah, just as Reverend Ogo said, let's go to the scripture. Now I'm reading from 2 Corinthians chapter 8, and I'm taking it from verse 1 going, where I need to start. Say, moreover, brethren, we do you to wait of the grace of God bestowed on the churches of Macedonia, how that in the great trial of affliction, the abundance of their joy and their deep poverty abounded unto the riches of their liberality. 3. For to their power I bear record, and beyond their power they were willing of themselves, praying us with much entreaty that we will receive the gifts and take upon us the fellowship of the ministry to the saint. 5. And this they did, not as we hoped, but first gave their own self to the Lord, So you said that the first thing is to give yourself first. And that's the key. Paul said they first gave yourself to the Lord and unto us by the will of what? Of God. He was talking about Macedonian church that they were going through affliction or whatever, but they were giving. And then he went to say that first they gave themselves up. So he was saying how the order of they gave the first. Until you gave yourself to God, you can't give money.
What does it mean by giving yourself to God, Reverend Olago?
Giving yourself to God, Bible says every good and perfect gift comes from God. And so, to give yourself to God comes in this way. Not all people know that they need to submit themselves to God. Not everyone knows that they need to submit themselves to God. There are many people who have nothing to do with God. There are many people who don't think it is God's grace that is keeping them moving. So the prima facie thing to do is to acknowledge that whatever I am, it is just by the grace of God. By acknowledging that and submitting to God, I believe is giving yourself to God as a holy sacrifice, praising unto the Lord the gifts of yourself. That today, Jesus Christ, or today, God, I am your own. I give myself unto you. Prepare me, direct me. I'm going out. I pray that you take me out and bring me home safely, my family, my church, my ministry, my community, the whole universe. Submit all yourself unto God. I believe, like he's saying, it's the first thing we have to do, because not everybody acknowledges that. And those who do that, they are called, Bible says, for them, as many that have the Spirit of God, they are called the sons and daughters of the living God. They are the children of God.
Well, let's talk about this. At what point in time you as a pastor would say, my church is giving or my church is not giving?
My church is...
How would you know, what will happen for you to say, my church is a giving church or my church is not a giving church? How would you know, what will happen for you to say either of those?
Yeah, and this, when somebody make this statement, well, I would say you don't maybe have a church and then all of it. I mean, giving might be something that you take effort to build through the teachings and understanding. So for you to say my church is not a giving church or my church is a giving church, it's like maybe when you have a church, sometimes we have people who can give and then sometimes have people who cannot give. But all you know, the teachings and understanding of giving. And I've realized that when you will say my people are not giving, why is that statement? That they are not giving. Because until they get understanding, it is the Holy Ghost that moves people to give. So people, that's why I always say that it is easy for everybody to give offering, but it's not easy for everybody to pay tithe. That's the key. So those who go beyond offering and pay tithe understand something. So sometimes they pay it. So my church is not a giving church. My church is a giving church. Sometimes there are certain churches, they don't encourage giving. They will never tell you to give. All they will do is that they will supply. And I always tell my church that if any church doesn't encourage giving, then the members tend to be poor, because the only way to break out is to give. And the Bible says there's more blessing giving than receiving. So for you to say my church is not a giving church, whatever, then the person who is saying it, I don't know whether he is saying that I don't allow my church to give, so it's not a giving church, or my church members don't give. Why are they? Because that's why we preach and we teach, and it's the Holy Ghost that move, and then they move, they also give. So I don't know whether I've answered your question.
No, you have not answered my question. I am still going to prod. Reverend Ologo, can a pastor say, my church is a giving church, or my church is not a giving church, or you don't say that at all?
You can say the church is a giving church.
And what are the indicators? Yes,
you can use to see whether the church is a giving church. We have prayer session on Wednesdays when they know that they have to stop what they are doing and come and meet and we pray. You see them generous, not only in finances. Generosity is not only in finances. You call for Sundays, they see that there is a need for them to come to church on Sundays. They come to church on Sunday. They defile all other things and come to church on Sundays. You are doing a harvest and there is a need for money to be raised for something. They are prompted and then they give. You accumulate all these parameters and know whether the people are understanding, comprehending the gospel. It's a full gospel. There is this organizing full gospel. The gospel must be preached in its totality. Like he's saying, financial blessings. We can attain financial blessings. Freely given, freely do we also receive. So that people must understand that if you give, you can't outgive God. You can't outgive God. Like we read initially, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. God never tells us to do something without he himself doing first. When the pastor is telling you to give, it means that God has been the first giver, the giving of his own self. Jesus Christ is God in the flesh. It's God who came down in the flesh and gave himself as a ransom unto many. So if God tells us to give, we can't outgive him. He has first given his own self. So giving encompasses so many things. The way that people convey themselves, the way they organize activities in the church, the way they respond to financial section, which is about 1/10 of the level of giving. The way they commit themselves to the things of God, the way they embrace the word of God, the way they do all those things. All those things must come before they understand what it means to give financially. So we dig only the finance aspect, and we capitalize on that, and we portray that as the only forms of giving. What about the person who don't work? Does it mean that he's not giving? He's coming to church, he's cleaning the pews, he's doing all those things. He's also giving. If you have hired a laborer, they will charge you. So it's also giving in a form.
Well, our listeners, one of our eminent pastors also joined us, and I'd like for him to introduce himself. Reverend
Emmanuel Elendo of the RCCG Dominion Center in Cincinnati.
Reverend Elendo, welcome. We're talking about Christian giving, and I know that you can fit in anytime because you're a Reverend Minister. All of you can fit in anywhere we are. But at this point, we are asking the question, can a pastor say my church is a giving church or not a giving church? And what are the indicators? You are a pastor of a church, so can a pastor conveniently at some point in time say, my church is a giving church, or giving has slowed down, or my church is not a giving church? What are the indicators?
A giving church, I wouldn't say absolutely that I, in the position of a pastor, will say my church is a giving church or not a giving church. It's very subjective. The subjectivity is in terms of weighing the act of giving from scriptures. If I say that my church is a giving church, then I should be able to match or exceed the example in the scriptures. An example of a giving church I know is the church in Macedonia, and also the church, those Asia Minor churches where Paul preached the gospel, and the people gave freely. And
they gave what freely? What do you mean they gave freely? They
gave money. They gave, I remember the case of Priscilla and Aquila. They gave their proceeds. I remember the case of
So you're talking about physical things.
Dorcas, who gave freely of the things she made out of from her sewing business, and to the point that when she died, people begged, they literally cried and asked the apostles to please, this kind of person should not be taken away from them. So they gave money, they gave material things, they gave their time, they gave their resources, intellectual abilities. They gave a lot of things. So when my local church matches that type of giving, then I would say that my church is a giving church. But I wouldn't absolutely say that it's not a giving church, because some people, generally speaking today, we see giving as giving money. And a lot of people give their time. A lot of people give their resources. someone has 2 cars or 3, and he's willing and just willing anytime to release his other car for the brethren to get by, especially for those who are coming in newly. That's another form of giving. So when we judge it, it will see that we'll be thinking that the church is not giving, but there are so many people who are giving, individual pockets of givers. So that's why I say this is very subjective.
Reverend Okai, let me come to you. So let's say the members of your church, they are coming for every program. People are willing to, give their cars for you to go and pick up all kinds of things, but nobody is giving money. Would that be a worry for you as a pastor?
Nobody's giving what type of? They don't give offering. They don't give tithes.
The offering, they give, the money they are giving is peanuts. You can really count pennies. Would that be a problem?
There are some people.
Would you say it's a problem with giving in the house?
Oh, I will never say problem. I will say that we need to teach.
No, and I know you need to teach, but what I'm saying is that that's a problem with giving.
We need to do
one area of giving.
One area of giving, because now people are able to give big money outside, but they're not able to give in the church. Though it's a good thing, you see. So people justify by giving their tithe to people who are in need, and then saying that our form of giving is giving. So if I give my money to people who are in need, a widow, and I don't pay my tithe, you see, and sometimes they miss the principle. So we need to. Why is that they're able to give their cars, but they're not able to give money?
All right. So, the reason we are talking or we're discussing Christian giving, okay, everywhere you go, when ministers are talking about the problem or the issue of giving, everybody's mind comes to money. When there's plenty of money, there's no complaint. Okay, so God brings the children of Israel out of captivity, and then he instructs his servant Moses to ask his people for an offering for the building of the tabernacle. And the Bible says they gave of their substance so much that Moses said it is enough. Yeah. You will not go to any church at this point in time where the pastor says it is enough, because it is lacking, and people are having problems with giving money. People don't mind going to church. People mind giving money. And I want us to talk about giving money in the house of God. Okay? It's a blessing. There's something good about it. So let's concentrate on giving money in the house of God. If you give all things, Paul, the scripture you read says they gave because they first gave themselves. They gave themselves. That's beautiful. You give yourself to God. That's perfect. But if you don't contribute money to the house of God, the house of God is not going to advance. And that is what people are having problem with. The church members are having problem with giving. And so I want us to talk about giving money in the house of God. Is it a good thing to talk about, Reverend?
I'm excited about this because I'm an economist, and I can analyze the church, the growth of the church from the Industrial Revolution to the different levels, and we got to this monetized economy or capital system we run in the United States. Giving money is very important. For a Christian who does not give money, he in this our age, in the time of the apostles, if he gives clothes, if he gives food for relief, welfare system, if he gives a lot of that era was not monetized. It was more of a welfarist economy. Today, we live in a capitalistic, monetized economy. And that is why you can even give with your credit card and it will be accepted. Now, I understand that credit card is, you're not the owner of that money, and but you can go to grocery and buy food and buy a car with your credit card, isn't it? So it could also be a form of your giving because you plan your life around it. Now, if we say we are Christians and we have problem with giving money, then there is a problem.
Reverend
There
Ologo,
is a problem.
rest a little bit. I really, this is where the church is having problems. If you are pastors, so maybe you can shield your members, that's fine. I'm not a pastor. I'm a member of the flock. I talk to the flock. That is where the problem is, okay? So is it important to talk about giving money in the house of God?
Oh, yes, of course. It's very, very necessary because the gospel has four wheels. The gospel has four wheels. One is the word prayer, money, and fellowship. So if you want the gospel to advance, you need to balance on its four wheels. And money is part of the wheels on which the gospel runs. If I want to do a program.
Please pull your microphone closer to your mouth.
If I want to do a program.
Yes, that's good.
And then we need to run publication materials, we need to do all those things, we need money. If I want to invite a minister from outside, we need money to give him a hotel and all those things. They are all necessary. They are all facets of the church program that move the church on. And so money is essential, very, very, and a very important ingredient in the ministry and even the work of Jesus Christ. We saw so many scriptures where Jesus also made sure that
Judas was the bank, the money keeper.
Yeah. When they were supposed to pay their tax, Jesus have to literally cost money to come from heaven to the mouth of a fish.
That's right.
For them to bring it to you to pay the tax. So you made a very important example about the children of Israel. What we have to understand is that the properties and the things the Israelites gave, God has already caused Egypt to give them that thing. They didn't work. But when they were coming, God caused the Egyptians to give them all their jewels and necklaces and golds and all that.
But God asked them to go and ask of the Egyptians. Wouldn't you call that work? Didn't they go ask? Isn't that what the scripture says? The scripture doesn't say that. Just go to your neighbors and ask.
It was God who caused the heart of the neighbors to give unto them. God knew that money will be used, or those materials will be used in the future.
Right.
It is for us or for our members to know that whatever they have gotten, it is God that is giving them the power to make wealth. So that when they are called upon to be used, they will not.
It looks like my panelists are being very, very nice to your church members this evening. It's an issue, okay? Everywhere it's an issue. Or maybe unless your church, the people give like their eyes are closed and then they just throw everything, But money is a very important part of running the house of God, okay? And so I think that amongst all the teachings on giving yourself, giving your time, giving your talent, those are easy to teach about. In fact, when a minister is teaching, I've sat in congregations before, a minister is preaching and yay, yay, yay. As soon as he talks about money, the whole place is quiet. Okay?
You know why?
No, I'm coming to ask why the church has a problem with giving. But I want to give Reverend Okain the chance to let us know, do you think talking about money in the house of God is important?
Why not? Because Jesus Christ even went on looking at how they placed money in the offering bowl and said that this widow got everything that he had, but this gave much, but it was out of their abundance. And then the woman went home with everything that he deserved, though it's money. So why Jesus Christ? He said, it's not about how much you give, but what you have and what you give. And then Ananias, they have to sell the land and then bring the money. As Pastor Elder said, that the welfare era is gone and not monetized. Even this time when somebody celebrating a birthday, we used to bring gifts and everything. And sometimes those gifts he has already have them.
So you give money.
So sometimes money will be given to him so that he can use the money for things that maybe he may not tell you that he needs. So money become essential thing. Now, for you to, I liked what Reverend Leno said. Say the church is a giving church or not is sometimes subjective, because giving is a part of the pastor's job to instill in the people. Sometimes they're not able to give because they don't have a good job. And sometimes, apart from teaching, that's why there are some churches, they record tithes, and based on that, they're able to trace that, this guy was doing good, but now he's not able to pay tithe. It's not that they want to victimize the person, but why? Is it that you need a help? You need something? Somebody may need maybe just a recommendation for him.
How
to get
many
a job.
churches are doing this?
So that's why the question, that's why I'm coming with this way. That's the people can come to church with nothing, but through strategic preaching and I say preaching and strategic management and all those things, and some churches are having a network where they make sure that all the members get something to do. And when they're able to get something, it is easy to give when you have money. You understand?
Are you sure?
No, I mean, yeah, because people want to give us something they don't have. I see people tell me.
And a lot of people have to, they don't want to give.
Exactly. But the first thing, make the atmosphere situated with that. All the people will be a potential givers. Now, the giving itself is a grace. So sometimes the teaching is an anointing that will prepare the people to give without considering how people even give out something that they don't have.
Let me read this quick statistics and then we'll talk about it. Okay, this is an online posting. Okay, I don't know the source. I believe it's public. It must have some substance. Christians are giving at 2.5% of income. During the Great Depression, it was 3.3%. Only 3 to 5% of Americans who give to their local church do so through regular tithing. When surveyed, 17% of Americans state that they regularly tithe. For families making $75,000, 1% of them at least give 10% in tithing. Is it because the pastors are not preaching well? Reverend Logo.
It is not because the pastors are not preaching well.
What's the problem?
The problem is that wisdom is a principal thing. So in all our getting,
Get it.
get wisdom and understanding. And because the wisdom is lacking now, and so the ability to give is also lacking now. And people have drawn so many euphoria around tithing that tithing is losing its potency even in the New Age churches. And I believe that, like in my church, for instance, what I've started to initiate is what we call recapturing baptism. Baptism has lost its potency among Christians. Baptism is an entrance to the church, the way we become a member in the church. It has lost its potency. Giving or tithing has also lost its potency. People say it's an Old Testament phenomenon. It has no more value in the New Testament. People say it doesn't necessarily mean the storehouse doesn't necessarily mean where you are. Anywhere you can be getting information on the radio, you can send it. Pastors are in Ghana. They are encouraging members to take their money from
back.
here, send it to them in Ghana. Because the storehouse, people don't want to get knowledge themselves. So they don't go to the source of knowledge, the source of wealth and health, which is the word of God. They don't go there to stop themselves on what to do. And so people are prone in on their ignorance. And so it is also happening in America now. In America, the statistics you read the reason why the fall is coming is also because Christianity is reducing in America.
No, but if this is percentage, so it's
They
not
are
numbers.
No, it's percentage,
Mhm.
but it is not the difference. He read economics. We have something called differentiation. The difference between the first giving and the second giving, you have to work the DYDS and look at the magnitude of the fall and know whether it is because the number, when 50 people are giving and then 30 people are also giving now, you have to know why it fell. Did it fall because of the 20% lack?
But whichever way, 3.3%, 2.5%, that's ridiculous. Let's come to you, Reverend. It's still very, very ridiculous. Okay, that's why I compared it to, the children of Israel. They were so happy to give. They were just so excited to give. There must be something wrong. You're saying wisdom. The people are not getting wisdom. Reverend Alendu, is it because the pastors are not teaching well, or the people are just angry at the pastors? What is going on? Can you put our minds around why this very pitiful statistics for Christian giving? If you look at all the things that God has done for you, giving your money should not be a big thing at all. But it's a problem with the church, unless it's not with your church. Tell me, is there something wrong? Is it the pastors? Is it the church members? Is there some devil somewhere?
Well, it's not any devil anywhere.
It's not the devil anywhere.
You use the word ridiculous, and that's the word. We have come to a point in our Christian work with God that everything is ridiculous. Everything. We talked about baptism, going back to the initial foundational tenets of the church. Membership, you've got to be baptized. But before you get baptized, you must be born again.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a large crowd of people who are not born again. And we're trying to patch the old wine, or the old cloths on a new.
So you think the born again ones are the 2.5 and the not born again ones are the 90?
I dare say yes, because of this truth. Because if you belong to the United States of America,
right,
and you are a citizen of this country, and you contribute to the economy by way of tax system, and you are given, you see this place as a home. And so government cuts off, before you gets to your bank account, certain amount of money. And then you ask why. You say, because you are a citizen, you are a part of the society. If you are really a part of the society, you pay your taxes. You give your offering. You sustain the system. You sustain the house of God. If you are not a part of the system, you do anything anyhow. That's why I say it's ridiculous. It starts from our faith. It starts from the baptism. It starts from the pulpit, I dare say. But the moment we begin to allow all the multitude to come in and suggest how church is run, how the things of God are done, especially in the United States, the members teach the pastor his job. Okay? They teach you your job. And now, if you are not the stubborn type, you will agree, because you will soon lose members.
Yes.
Now,
so
we are at a stage where we need to go back to the original gospel, and they insist that people be born again and be baptized. Then they see they need to be a part of the membership of the house. And if this house must cover us, if we belong to the kingdom, if we belong to Jesus, then we need to put money together
and sustain
it. So it comes back to everything is, what was that your word?
ridiculous.
Ridiculous. We just do it the way we want, for laissez-faire kind of behavior, but just because we want to sustain membership. No church, I dare say, no church lacks anything, or should, or ought to lack anything, if that church was instituted by God and planted by God himself. God will sustain his church.
Yes.
And the gates of hell will not be able to prevail against the church of God. And I dare also say to my fellow ministers, let's be careful to hear from God to do projects. Let's be very careful, because sometimes we overburden ourselves, and now we say there is no money. Okay, an example. There was a project, back to school project, we engaged in 2 weeks ago. I said a small committee, okay, well, how much do we need for this? You remember we have not paid our bills? They said, I said, okay, we must reach out to the community. How much do we need? They did their calculations, and they found out that we needed $500 to buy exercise books and book bags and all that. Thank God for the cheap book bags. And then got up to the congregation and said, hey, we need $500 to buy book bags. And they started giving. When it was $500, enough. We've had enough. At that point, we had enough. And come and see God move in this program. I could have said, okay, this classroom, because we're doing it classroom by classroom, department by department, fixing things. Oh, we need 5,000 to clean up this particular classroom. Let's raise more money. No. So in our managing the money and the evolving projects, we should also we know what God is saying. Look, that program was a huge success. We had the 100% of our expectation. Turnout was great, and people were just excited at what God did. So, people must be born again. Let me summarize my point. They must be born again. They must be baptized. They must be a part of the family of God. That's why we're not giving. That's why people on the street, they're strolling, see them and make them, God, let them be born again and discipled, and then you see giving coming.
Reverend Okai, let me ask you this question, and this is to all of us, and we'll end on that question. Okay. Is giving money in the house of God a sin issue or not?
Sin?
Or giving or not giving a sin issue or not?
Reverend, you know the hard question comes to you.
I would not say it's a sin. It's what giving is a faith.
Giving is a faith.
It's a faith. I mean, so, and the Bible defines sin as if you do anything without faith. I mean, Romans 14:23. So, fine. So, if you do anything, that's the New Testament way of defining sin. That if you do anything not based on faith, it's a sin.
All right. So
you understand? So sometimes the Bible says, sow your seed in the morning, sow in the evening, sow. We don't know which one will, no type of evil that will come. So anything, there are certain things, prayer, giving, and then fasting. There are certain things that God has given us knowledge that if you do, you're able to break the hand of the devil. So if you don't do those things, because sometimes it's just giving that will liberate you. You are prayed, you are fasted, but we are left with giving.
So, Reverend
Ernest.
Yes, if it's not a sin issue, okay. If it's not a sin issue, so you were saying that offering tithes, there's no sin issue here. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's why I'm saying that was the most difficult question you gave to him.
Everyone is going to talk about it. So, offering tithe, is there a sin issue involved in this?
I've been in the ministry for a long time, and I can't relate sin to giving, except what goes on within the person that I cannot judge subjective, like you said. But sin, the definition of sin and the definition of giving are parallel. They can never coincide.
They can never coincide.
Yes.
So, Reverend Alendu, somebody is in the house of God and decides not to give. The person is still serving God anyway. It's not even related to born again because it's not a sin issue. It's a faith issue. So where does the born again come in? See how I routed my questions?
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Giving
Yes.
is I will add that giving is a grace.
It's a grace.
The Bible says, when you have received the grace of God, do not frustrate it.
Mm-hmm.
And now, and in Hebrews chapter 6, the Bible warns us that we should not trample on our feet the grace of God. That is to say, doing the despite, calling it nonsense to the Spirit of grace. And now, when you bring all these scriptures together and you look at giving, lack of giving is not seen in its absolute sense. But the cause of not giving, the behavior, the attitude behind not giving could be sin itself.
Could be sin itself. I wish that there was an easier way to, open up this discussion some more,
Yeah, because it's like not getting baptized.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody says,
whose fault is it that a born again is not baptized?
No, it could be, it's the fault of the man that is not baptized. It's the fault of the man. Because there are so many things. If you don't get baptized, baptism is important. And then you don't get baptized, it could be as a result of disobedience.
Disobedience.
It could be as a result of arrogance. It could be as a result of a lot of things. But the act of baptism, as far as I understand, will not deprive you of heaven.
No.
The act or the intent behind not being baptized
Can
really get you into serious trouble with God. So the intent of not giving, the attitude behind not giving could get you into serious problems with God. And so the same question comes in. The heart is desperately wicked. Who can know it? We may not know why you are not giving, but God knows why you are not giving. He's not interested in that money. He's not interested in that dollar. No. He's interested in what is going on, the processing in your heart that could get you into a problem. And so that's
let me ask this question. Let's start with you again. Let's say, there are some churches where they don't pay the pastor. There are some churches who pay the pastor. The pastor's whole income comes from the church. Okay, should that be a pressure on that pastor to really hammer on giving financially in the house of God?
That's a tough one.
Yes, it shouldn't be a tough one.
No, it is a tough one because given the church, I believe the church is the congregation of the saints. They come together, and maybe it's a church that was set up by a bigger church, and they set salary for the pastor. And then pastor goes into the work, and the money is left for the local congregation that has not been formed to pay. And the pastor has to pay his rent, has to buy food, has to take care of things. And
you don't think it will affect your preaching?
It shouldn't affect your preaching.
Are you sure?
It should not affect.
It
should not affect your preaching.
Let me come to you. Let me come to you. God called all of Israel, and He set one tribe aside and says, "You are not supposed to work. Just do the work of the ministry." And because of that, I am insisting the remaining 11 bring the tent to the storehouse. You cannot touch it. It is holy. If you touch it, it's an abominable thing unto you. Okay. A pastor who is being paid by the church, how does he handle this? Because you have to encourage. We just established here that giving is grace. Okay, and grace is grace. There's no end to grace. Okay, shouldn't that pastor really hammer down on giving money? You can give all your time and all your things, but my rent needs to be paid. The church is not paying it. I have to, What do you think?
You see, if you look at the church, the history of the church from the Acts of Apostles, people receive and people give according to their need. So need comes in here. Now, the need of a pastor, a congregation of a size of about 50, that there's an average giving of about 100 a month. And so 50 is going to give you about 5,000 a month. The congregation
500 or 5,000, say average.
100, there are 550 people. So 100 a month means just about 5,000.
Okay.
Yeah. And the congregation, the church have to pay their bills. They have to pay. Yeah, I think some of these things have to come in so that the proliferation of churches need to be kept. Need to be kept. Because we are maturing churches that cannot be sustained. You see? And like you said, there might be some of the primordial reasons why people want to hammer on giving. Because if you have a congregation of 30, another one 30, another one 30, so we have 30 pastors. If it were to be one congregation, 90 with one pastor and an assistant, probably economically, the burden of the people can be reduced. I have a peculiar situation. I don't know why you threw that question to me. I have a small congregation, but I belong to a denomination that is being supported by the larger
church.
And our goal is to grow to the extent that we become self-sufficient in the immediate or the short-term future. And so the reason why for pastors, income and other things sometimes play a role in their preaching. It can reflect. I mean, we have to be honest. It can reflect in your preaching. It can reflect in your reaction. Because those who give the church, they will become your friends and those kind of things, which shouldn't be so. We should be so. But all that I want to highlight on is that as pastors and as leaders, we have to come together and discourage dissentments, things that bring churches to break, so that at least, because in the wisdom
maybe
of God,
we'll talk about that next time.
In the wisdom of God, every church is supposed to be self-sufficient. God has made every adequate provision for every church to be self-sufficient.
That's interesting.
Yes. The ministries, every church, whether 3 or 4 people, all the 5 ministries are supposed to be there. All the gifts of God are supposed to be there. People don't recognize it. They don't even know that they have it, let alone developing it. And so it is in finances. God can do exceedingly and abundantly beyond what you can even imagine or anticipate. So it is not the intention of God for the house of God to be crippled.
Okay, so let's wrap up our discussion with this. We'll start with you, Reverend Okai. In the Old Testament, you can hear people saying, hey, tithes belong to the Old Testament and stuff like that, okay? In the Old Testament, giving was mandatory because the Levitical order has to be provided for. You didn't have an option, okay? In the New Testament, we are saying is grace, all right? If you don't give, God will not hammer on your head. But how would you encourage Christians of now, this 97.5% who are not, sometimes I sit down and during offering at church, it's just ridiculous. You see the bucket passing by and it's just passing by people and it's going. I don't know whether they are paying online or putting it somewhere, but it's just funny to see how the bucket passes people by people by people, okay? What message would you give to the church at this particular time to make giving their money to the house of God? And some people are saying, I don't want to give my money to the pastor. That is even much more ridiculous, okay? But what one message would you give to the church? We will play this over and over again to encourage the brethren to give money to the house of God.
I believe
all of you prepare your answers to this question.
We visit this in another time because we have a cultural or a geographical setting in There's a mindset of many people here. You see, there's a way churches raise up money here. Sometimes the 501c3 give them money. Sometimes they have companies that works and they give them money. So people are not encouraged to give. They preach all right. So sometimes when they come to your church, somebody said that I want to go to White Church because they will not
Force you to give. That's a
So
word.
that become a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So you compare. There are some white or African American who gives. There are few. But when you comparatively, the Africans, when they are giving, they give more.
Mm.
So that mindset that they have a way of the church resuscitating himself. So they see that they are not obligated to help the church to go on. So therefore, giving is something that even when they are giving, it's like them, they are forcing themselves to give. And this is also informing the minds of people
Around.
exactly. So that's another thing. The people who preach don't touch that area because they have institutions that give them money. They can pay their pastors. They have everything. And sometimes we have individuals who normally die and they because they are well to them. They have insurance. You see, so there are so many packages that they don't see reason why because they feel like they don't want to burden. And sometimes it's not burden.
So what's your word of advice?
My word of advice, what I always tell my church members that any church that does not encourage the members to give is depriving the members to get wealth, because the only way is to give and then you
Give and it
multiply.
shall be given back unto you. Reverend Ologo.
Yeah, to wrap up this discussion, this interesting discussion, like Honorable Okain just said, there are parameters, wrong indicators that our people are using and compare themselves to the American churches. But we from the diaspora, we coming from Africa, we are here for a purpose. And we have certain enviable cultures, an enviable way of doing things that we don't know. We don't know the gifts that God has given unto us. We are here to take what is good in this land and leave what is not good. We must be circumspect. Giving is good. For the giver is better than the receiver. There is a Akan language, an Akan meaning of midawase. When you give somebody, it means midawase. I'm lying
Midawase
under
unto.
you. The one
Never heard
giving,
that.
The one giving is up. The one receiving is under. So you don't want to be always midawase, danase, lie under.
You
the
also
person always.
have to be on
You want
top.
to be up. Naturally, look at how you become happy when you are the one supporting the family. You become happy. That's how it is in the spiritual realm. So giving is we don't want to deprive anybody of his providential grace and gift from God. We encourage them to give. They should give liberally because they have received freely, and freely should they also give. All I want to say is that the grace of God that grants you the gift of life and health to do work, let it continue to sustain you by giving. It's a cycle. The moment you stop your side, God also stops
Stops his
his side.
side.
Also stop his side.
Reverend Elendu, final words.
I want to encourage people to give to the work of God.
We're talking about money, lessness.
Give money.
That's right.
And the strategy I have used, there was a time, let me give you a background of this strategy. There was a time some group of people rose up in our local church and felt that Pastor Lendo is running the church like his business. And some other high people in the high quarters used a group of people to scatter the church. And the reason why Pastor Lendo seemed to be running the church like his personal thing is that if Pastor Lendo asks you to do something and he don't do it, I will go ahead and do it. Because I believe that the church of God will never be under. Will never be shortcut. So, envy and all that played in. So, but when the scattering came, I said, thank God, the Lord revealed to me what was happening. And I made sure that I was okay with the Lord. And he gave me a good revelation of what was going on. I thanked him. And then I asked for wisdom. When people give and you applied your money to the things of God, and it is very visible, they give more. And now the application I used was, and still is, to ask the heads of department to get on board. And I prayerfully opened my eyes to see those who minded the things of heaven, to make them in charge of the department. I say, hey, listen, this is the book. What we get, we use. So my advice to my fellow ministers is to get people involved. The Bible says in Acts chapter 6, talking about the murmuring and all the divisions and among the early apostles, and Peter said, we shall give ourselves to the ministry of the word and prayer. I withdrew from
Put
operations.
people in charge.
Hey, finance department, at the end of the month, how much do we have? Okay, out of what we have we paid our bills? Have we done this? Have we done that? Have we done this? Report to me so that requisition be made for any project you want to do. If we have money, if we don't have money, you guys will raise money. When it gets to a point when I'm talking about money, they know that it's serious. So, put them in charge. They are looking at the money. They are looking at projects, genuine projects, outreach projects. And then when you get people involved, and they are members of the household of faith, they are members of the kingdom, they will give. They will make even their neighbors to give. So get people involved. Let the pastors remove themselves from this financial. It's good to have an oversight to check what's going on so that IRS doesn't come after the pastor. But get people involved and let them preach the giving. Let them be your mouthpiece. They talk about it. What's on the book? It's open. It's open. And so that's my advice.
Reverend Elendu, Reverend Logo, Reverend Okai, God bless you so much. I believe the community will appreciate all the input that you have put in. You know, I remember in our house one time, our pastor who is gone, he said, all right, I'm going to put myself aside and I'm going to ask the leaders to receive the offering. You know, I was one of the first guys to ask to go and receive the offering, and I started with that scripture in you know, that story about Israel, and I intentionally made the moment a joyful moment, not quoting scriptures and hammering on the people and say, hey, this is it, but give to the Lord. Look at what the Lord has done for you. Remember how the Lord opened the Red Sea for you, and it was exciting. And I was told that day the church raised very much money. But you know, you can make yourself a money collecting machine, so that's also not good. But you know, I think that there's a problem amongst the church, and I'm calling on leaders to identify what this problem is. If we know that giving is a blessing, if we didn't have time to talk about that, the results of giving, because when you give, God will give back unto you, pressed down, shaken together, running over. Forget about the fact that time and, we hide up behind, I give my time, I give my talent, and those are all good. Money runs the church as well. Okay, and the church needs to give. I feel it so much when I see pastors standing on the pulpit and pouring out their hearts, give, especially for those whom the church is paying. It makes it even more sad, But if the church can be brought to the place where, when it's time to give, there's such excitement in the hearts of people to go and give. It doesn't matter how much you have, but you're excited to go and give. People are giving grudgingly in the house, which is not good. If you pastors can find a way of getting to the bottom of this and raising this 2.5 to 100%, because everybody who is born again must give.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be a very good thing. So that's my homework to you and all pastors listening. Encourage your churches, bring them to the place where they give back to God, because it's a pleasant thing. God richly bless you, and I believe that next month, same time, we'll meet to talk about another exciting topic in the house of God, or maybe not a topic in the house of God, but important to the community. So God bless you, Reverend Alendu, Reverend Ologo, and Reverend Okai. Listeners, we'll bring this discussion to a close, but we would put it on our website and we will be playing it again and again. So God richly bless you all.
Amen.